Do you feel like you're going around in circles? Or do you feel like you're not progressing as much as you'd like? Are you in a slump and don't know how to get out? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to lock in, and this video is for you. So what is locking in and how do you lock in? Locking in is being 100% committed to your goals and aspirations, so much so that your daily habits begin to reflect this desire for your goals. I really just got out of a slump where I was demotivated. I was just lying in bed watching The Good Doctor, and while I could make all the excuses that the few days I wasted actually scrolling and just being lazy were rest, because I had just school had just gone on recess. They will remain excuses, and the sad truth is that the time I spent or wasted is time I can't regain, and time that could have been spent doing something more valuable that would have pointed me closer to my goal. I realized that I was in a slump. I realized that my productivity levels were at an all-time low, and then I wanted to get out of that lazy girl era. I did not like the fact that I was feeling unhealthy. I was feeling like a complete mess, and I wanted to get out of that. So that brings us to the first point of how to get out of a rut and lock in. You should realize that you are in a slump, and you should realize that you are not performing at your best, and the realization isn't enough. You should also want to get out of that rut. So that is the first step. Now, after realizing and deciding that you want to get out of the slump, what's next? Identify what your hindrances are and what is keeping you in that state of inertia. So in this day and age where our brains are overloaded with so much information on a daily basis, it is really easy to become overwhelmed and to just become demotivated because you're stressed out and you're worn out. You should single out the distractions, that's the specific things that are keeping you, that are making you overwhelmed, and you should deal with those specific things. So again, in my personal life, I was in another slump while school was in session, where I was feeling demotivated to study. And so I identified the distraction, and for me the distraction was my phone. It wasn't like a specific social media app or notifications or anything like that. It was just the phone. Like, I would just find things to do and then just be scrolling endlessly, like things that I put off till that particular moment where I was studying. And so I realized that was my problem. I tried different techniques like the Pomodoro technique and some other time blocking techniques. They worked for a time period, but then they weren't sustainable. They weren't working for me after. So I decided to find something that was more personal to me and something that would help me in particular. So what I did to combat the distraction that was my phone was to use the same distraction to work for me. So I made the distraction work for me. I would film myself studying, so my phone would be on video and I would be studying. So then there was no way I would have access to the phone, and I felt like someone else was watching me study, and that made me feel more accountable, and so helped me get out of my rut. The truth is, your distraction could be anything from your nails to the clock ticking in your room or the sound of the crickets if you are a night owl like I am. So it's up to you to isolate your distractions and then to find innovative solutions to those distractions. So that's basically how to get out of your slump and how to eliminate distractions. Now, after that, I feel like there are a few things that you should know, because you would need to reset your mental space, reset your habits, because that's what locking in is. Your habits begin to reflect the desire you have to achieve your goals. This one is, don't get too comfortable in your current state. So even if you are not in a slump and your productivity isn't zero, but your productivity is mid, I think that you should know that you are not at your best. Like, even if your productivity is at a 9, there's always room for improvements, and there's always an opportunity to get better. Comfort leads to inertia. When you're comfortable, you don't want to move, you don't want to get out of your comfort zone. And as human as we are, this is a reality for like all of us. And so don't get too comfortable in your comfort zone. When you're comfortable, remember that it hinders your progress, and you don't move forward as much when you are comfortable. This is your call to step out of your comfort zone. Another thing I think is important to keep in mind is to take responsibility for your actions. Own your life. You need to be accountable for your decisions. Like, if you decide to sleep the night away and to sleep your days away, you shouldn't find a way to make excuses. So for me, like, this is again a personal experience. In the school year, when I felt demotivated and I felt degassed, I would often come home after school and sleep till the next morning, but then I would ask my siblings to wake me up, and I'll set an alarm as well, and I wouldn't wake up, and then I would blame my siblings for not waking me up. So that was a problem, because I kept making excuses instead of owning my actions or inaction. So instead of studying, I decided to sleep, and that was my choice, and so I had no right to blame anyone. And so when you enter into the space where you begin to take responsibility for the bad decisions and the good decisions you make, you realize that you are more accountable, and you are more likely to stay logged in and focus on your goals. So the person that you want to become will only exist based on the choices you make today, and every day counts. Every second is important, and you do not have any time to waste. Every hour gone is an hour that could have been spent improving yourself. I think that it's easier when you're accountable to a greater power, because sometimes being accountable to just yourself doesn't cut it. And this is where I actually been my Christian perspective on the topic. I believe that God wants us to live a locked-in life, a life that is focused on our goals, a purpose-driven life. If you haven't read The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, you absolutely should. I think that when you're accountable to God, when you realize and you recognize that all the resources and all the endowments and the giftings you have were given to you by a higher power, which is God, and that you're accountable to Him, it makes it easier to be a better steward of these gifts that He has given you. And chapter 3 verse 23, it says that everything you do as unto the Lord. So whatever it is that you're doing, whether you are working out, whether you're studying, whether you're learning a new skill, whatever it is, if you keep in mind that you're doing it for God, as unto God and not as unto man, I think that it makes a whole world of difference. It's not just enough to say be consistent. How are you consistent? How do you become consistent? So again, I think that what has personally worked for me is creating systems that work for me. I use Notion, which is a planning app. It's a note-taking app. I use Notion for everything. I have like a huge Notion database that has all of my notes from every subject with things that I have to do, which I update in the course of the day. So in as much as I won't say that I do this every single time and I never miss an assignment, because it's not like Notion is going to do all my assignments for me, right? As I said, it's still my choice, but the Notion is a great start for me. It helps me to see everything I have to do and to like have it visualized. I think that visualization is really key to achieving your goals. So when I see that, like today, the actionable steps I have to maybe like complete a worksheet on rights-based ethics, or to review chemistry chapter 3.1 or something like that, I know that this is what I have to get done by today. When I was looking for a system that worked for me, another alternative that isn't like really traditional, no, actually sort of is traditional, but wasn't Notion, was my desk. My desk has, I got this desk from IKEA, and it has like this whiteboard thing behind it. So I used markers and I would like draw out a calendar, and then I would write the tasks that I have to do for each day in it. And I also have a vision board, which I think helps me to see what I want, see my visions more clearly. I think that it's really key. Whatever method helps for you, I think that it's really important to see your visions, to see your dreams, and to see your goals, because sometimes we tend to lose sight of these these aspirations, and when you see them, it makes them more real to you. So whether it's like through journaling or creating a vision board or using Notion or whatever it is, Pinterest or whatever it is, honestly, I think that visualization is important. This point is very important, and I cannot emphasize this enough. So self-care, both physical, mental, spiritual, all the hours. I think that self-care is a really important part of staying logged in. A balance is key. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Yeah, I don't remember the other half of that saying, but I think that it's like really necessary to know when your body needs rest, when you need to go back to the drawing pad. Go back to the drawing board. Yes, I think you have to know when to go back to the drawing board, to reflect and to just rejuvenate and come back stronger, come back better. Like leisure, like practicing a hobby or traveling or going for a concert or reading a book, non-fiction, whatever you want to read, like something that is fun, something that isn't work. I think that it's really important to like cultivate the art of resting, like just resting, whether it's like, I feel like just like appreciating silence, just sitting in silence and being alone with your thoughts and being alone with God, and like meditating on whatever is good and whatever is pure and whatever is lovely. I think that like rest is key, because we are humans, we run out of energy, and even God himself rested on the seventh day. So I think that we need to have like a regular regime of rest, else we're going to get worn out, we're going to get burnt out. Evaluate what you're doing right and accept constructive criticism on what you're doing wrong. So I think that like again, so now I'm going back to the point about accountability, and I'm talking about systems now. You should have like a system for accountability, whether it's friends or parents or what, like whoever it is. You should be accountable to someone. If you're accountable to someone, you should be willing to accept constructive criticism for that person. Again, this is something I struggled with. I struggled with receiving constructive criticism from people, and this is like constructive criticism. I knew that constructive criticism helped me to become better, because there are some things you may be doing wrong which you may be oblivious to and only someone else can tell you. So I didn't have a problem with the criticism itself, but then with the fact that I was doing something wrong, I struggled so much with the idea that things that I had put in so much effort to do were subpar, or like were mediocre, or were not perfect. Actually, they were mediocre, but they were not perfect. And I think that my quest for perfectionism was really, like, my obsession with perfectionism is something that also held me back. But I think that once you accept and you have like open arms to constructive criticisms, you are like one step closer to becoming better. You're proud of how far you've come. Celebrate the little wins and the little victories. Celebrate the big ones and strive to be a better tomorrow. So with every passing day, you should be a better version of yourself than you were the previous day. So to recap everything I said in this video, identify that you are in a slump, assess where you are, isolate your distractions and deal with them. Don't get too comfortable with your current state. Take responsibility for your life and be accountable. Be consistently excellent. Prioritize self-care of both your mind and your body. Detach and periodically reflect. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this helps you with being locked in, being focused, and it helps you in achieving your goals, whether short term or long term. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye.